G'day guys, we're back into it again, and we're here with the team from PwC. So what I wanted to do is just do a quick intro of the people we have along here today, and then we're going to have a bit of an informal sort of session talking about some different opportunities that PwC have, and just some different experiences from the team that we've got in front of us. So to my direct, just right beside me is Mr. Mike Morgan. I actually know him quite well, so it's good to see you again, Mike. Thanks for coming in.
No, it's a pleasure, Tim.
Yep. And Mike's a partner in the tax practice in the Auckland office, and before that was in Wellington office. And then beside Mike we've got Sarah, and you may recognise Sarah from some of the PwC videos.
Yes.
And also being probably what we say the face.
Yeah. That's what they like to call me. Not really.
And then towards down the end there, we've got Katie, one of our the HR managers for PwC, that's sort of been involved in this sort of process of the grad recruitment.
Yeah, I have been.
Awesome. So first and foremost, and I might kick off on this, is just a little bit about PwC, and then a little bit about your sort of place in the market. Because a lot of these students here from Lincoln and Canterbury will be seeing all the different big four that will be rolling through, as well as the corporates and middle tiers, but it'd just be great to sort of get a bit of an insight from you of what you think sort of makes PwC a little bit different, and a bit about the company.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks again, Tim, for the opportunity. Really, I think it'd be worthwhile just spending a couple of minutes just around PwC itself. A lot of people would have heard of PwC, one of the big four accounting firms, probably the biggest in New Zealand. We have over 1,200 people across 7 or 8 offices in New Zealand. And really, we organise ourselves internally in 4 lines of service. The typical traditional audit practice, or assurance as we refer to it. I'm part of the tax practice. We then have private client services, which is our business advisory services, the smaller privately held type companies. And then we have our advisory practice, which is really a combination of a whole lot of different units. So our assurance practice is typical audit type assurance, but there's a lot of other bits and pieces in there. It's really about providing assurance to our clients around financial data. So that can be their year-end financial statements and things like that. But there's a lot of other interesting stuff that happens throughout the year. Tax, obviously, a bit of a focus on tax legislation and all the rest, but it's more than that. People expect us to know tax. It's about how do we then provide a valuable value to our clients. How do we save them money? How do we reduce risk for them? So that's a lot about what we do. And our private client services, it's about working with smaller businesses, helping them grow, helping them manage their own business. And in our consulting and in our advisory practice, as I say, there's a lot of different pieces of that, from our corporate finance team, which does a lot of work very similar to investment banks, although probably at a slightly with focus on sort of mid-sized companies rather than the big companies. Valuations, financial risk, and our restructuring practice, which is liquidations and insolvency. So there's a lot of different areas. That's how we arrange ourselves internally, and if you go onto the website, you'll get more information on all of those areas. And so we are seeking applications for all of those areas, and all across New Zealand, in fact. So people should go and have a look at the website just to get a better idea.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and we're seeing that with with this, the big four firms getting larger, and PwC no exception. Definitely around the other opportunities. May not just be an accounting graduate that comes out of university that comes into PwC. There could be a whole lot of other different backgrounds, as you said, consulting, etc., as well as your corporate finance guys, as well as even other ones too. So I suppose we'll cross over to you now, Sarah. Being our face of PwC here today. And so just a question for you would be a little bit around, how did you know that you wanted to go into this sort of business or into the area that you've gone into?
For me personally, I had quite an interesting start. I actually did 2 summers, so I have done a summer internship in both audit and tax. I'm currently a tax consultant at PricewaterhouseCoopers. But there was a long process of kind of getting to that place of what I definitely wanted to do. And I think the thing about PwC is that they've been so flexible and supportive in helping me decide which area and which path I should take. So I actually started as a grad last year in the assurance line of service, so that's audit. And I worked in that division for around 8 months and then decided, no, I think tax is actually more for me, so went down that path. But I had a lot of support from everyone in terms of deciding which area was best, and I decided on tax because I really liked the idea of problem solving, helping people sort out their tax arrangements and that aspect of it, rather than going into a company and kind of looking at whether or not what they'd recorded in financial statements was reasonable, which is more what you do in audit. Yeah.
So I suppose the other thing to build on that is that one would assume that you were fortunate enough to be interviewed and potentially offered at different places, and Mike, if you remember back a few years ago, you're probably in that same situation as well. Just a few, not too many grey hairs there. But sort of, why did you choose PwC? Because there's a huge amount of other opportunities that are out there, and it's becoming more and more, especially around corporates and even the growth of some of the middle tier firms. So why did you still come to PwC?
I agree, and the reason for me was PwC's investment in people. So I felt very valued as a person at PwC. I felt like my opportunities were endless. It's a brilliant brand to have on my CV. Sorry, I actually had a cold and I'm kind of choking up a bit. So for me, I actually did a law and commerce degree at the University of Auckland. So I not only had the accounting side I could go down, but also the legal side. And for me, there was no contest really. PwC was supportive with both my law profs qualification and my chartered accountancy. And it was just really the people side, the partners, like Mike for example. You can go up and talk to them, have a conversation, they come and say hi, and they're really interested, genuinely interested in what you're doing and you as a person. And so for me, that personal development, the learning, it just had all the aspects that you could get at any firm, but I really felt valued, and that's the main reason why I came back. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got a couple of questions that are flowing through, and Katie, maybe one of these could be directed towards you. Is that, do you, what have I got here? Yeah, in terms of applying for, how many audit positions would you generally be looking for as coming into the Auckland market?
Yeah, it's we get asked that question a lot,
yeah.
And quite hard at the moment to give you an exact number. What we tend to say is that we've got around about 100 graduate opportunities throughout the country, and that's in all lines of service. The reason why we can't put an exact number on it is because we do have a lot of summer interns that come in and we offer them positions, and they're still deciding whether they're accepting those positions and so on. So until we know that number, we don't know roughly how many graduate positions we've got. I can say though that the Auckland office in assurance will have the highest number of graduate positions for next year.
Yep, that sounds. Hopefully that answers the question there. And another question has come through is that last year the firm did a mid-year hire round, and of course we're here talking about opportunities for when applications closing at the end of this month, 31 March. But a question's come through: is there going to be another hiring round around July, or am I have to get my CV in now because I might miss out otherwise?
Yeah, last year we did a mini recruitment round. Chances are we will do it again this year. It really depends on how many positions we fill now, how the business goes and so on. But yeah, there will be a mini one. This is the big one though.
Yeah. And
then we'll do a mini one later.
So
yeah.
I suppose what needs to get out there is get yourself organised now. Make sure you get your application in before 31 March, because there's no promises.
Yeah.
It may happen, but no promises towards later on.